He's just a high school graduate and super poor. Michael probably invited me to the singles party as a scapegoat to make himself look better. Sure, he's usually competent at work and is a promising man who graduated from a prestigious university and works for a major corporation. But he might have overplayed it this time. After sending the drunken Michael home, I stayed behind with the three women. We were just talking, and they asked if I'd like to have another drink somewhere quieter. In the end, we moved to a quieter place and continued drinking, no longer treating it as a singles party. My name is Jim Johnson. I work at a law firm and am 29 years old. The firm I work for is one of the largest in the city. We have a diverse group of professionals, including lawyers, judicial scribes, and administrative staff. I'm a practicing lawyer and an associate director. Our firm is staffed with young and talented individuals. Let me share a bit about my childhood. Both of my parents were lawyers, and I was raised in London until I started elementary school. My parents were international lawyers, but London was dangerous at the time, so they decided to send me to school in the U.S. I lived with my paternal grandparents while my parents traveled between the U.S. and London for their work. Adjusting to school in the U.S. was tough since I had been in the U.K. all my life. Eventually, I made friends but preferred to be a lone wolf. I didn't seek to join groups, which suited me just fine. I think it was around that time that I met Michael. We were classmates in elementary and middle school. He was always the leader type, always at the center of the group. We weren't exactly friends, but we weren't enemies either. We just went about our daily lives in our respective roles. In middle school, as the school district expanded, we got more classmates from different elementary schools, but neither Michael nor I changed our stance. I continued at my own pace while Michael remained a standout. We went to different high schools and reconnected about 2 years ago. He suddenly called out to me at a restaurant, and at first, I didn't recognize him. "Hey, is that you, Jim?" "It's me, Michael. We went to elementary and middle school together." "Oh, Michael, it's been a while." Honestly, I was a bit confused. Michael's charisma was still the same, but his appearance had changed significantly. We weren't particularly close back in school, but he never seemed this flashy. He still had a bright personality but was now dressed in obviously expensive branded suits and had an unnaturally perfect hairstyle. "Jim, what are you up to these days?" "I'm usually working at a law firm. How about you?" "I work for a trading company. They say I'm a rising star." "Wow, that's impressive." Michael is in the sales department at Young Trading Company, and according to him, he's highly regarded there. It was typical of Michael to brag like that. He sees himself, and others see him, as a successful guy. "Jim, you graduated from high school, right?" "What? I heard a rumor you graduated from high school and then moved away." "Well, I did move. His house and my grandparents' house, where I lived until high school, were in the same district, so he must have heard about the move. It was so typical of him to assume I only graduated high school. Because of that, I decided to just let it slide. After graduating from high school, I moved to the UK to join my parents and enrolled at Oxford University. Given that I have few friends in the US, not many people knew this about me. I juggled both Oxford and law school and, upon graduation, became a lawyer. With parents who were international lawyers, it was a natural path for me. Like my parents, I also became an international lawyer, worked in London for a few years, and then returned to the US when my current law firm offered me a position. The firm, although large, is relatively new. I joined as part of the founding team and was appointed deputy director, working alongside Mr. Anderson to expand our connections and build the firm to what it is today. A comprehensive legal office where legal issues can be handled in one place. We have attracted business without much advertising. Although I'm often interviewed, I prefer staying out of the spotlight, so not many people know my face. That's why Michael doesn't know my background. Michael's change wasn't just an appearance. He continued talking to me after our chance encounter. "Perfect timing, Jim. Are you free this Friday?" "Friday night? I think I am. What's up?" "There's a drinking party, or rather a networking event. Want to join?" "What kind of networking event?" "Well, to be honest, it's a singles party. We need one more guy." "I'm not really interested." "Come on, don't say that. It's at that Michelin star restaurant in the city that everyone's talking about. It's a rare opportunity. Michael still thought I was just a high school graduate. I had been to that restaurant several times for client meetings, but I pretended not to know. A singles party at such a famous restaurant. That's pretty fancy. Are you worried about the cost? Don't worry, I'll cover your share, so just come. I don't care about the singles party, but if it's just about having dinner, I guess I could join. That's fine. Great, I'll send you the details tomorrow. Here's my contact info. Michael handed me his contact information and left. I've never voluntarily joined a singles party. In a way, it might be a rare experience, just as Michael said. As a lawyer, I'm comfortable talking to people, but this might be a unique chance to enjoy a Michelin-star dinner for free, so I decided to go with a light-hearted attitude. On Friday, I headed to the restaurant mentioned in Michael's message. After mentioning his name at the entrance, I was led to a private room. There, Michael and 3 women, who appeared to be office workers, were already seated. "Oh, you made it. This is my childhood friend, Jim. Nice to meet you. I'm Jim. Thank you for having me tonight. Nice to meet you. We work in reception." We exchanged polite greetings. All 3 women were elegant and beautiful. I was slightly curious about how Michael managed to arrange the singles party with these 3 women. With 3 women present, there were only Michael and I as the men. Just when I thought another man might join, Michael started the proceedings. "All right, we're all here, so let's start." "Wait, aren't we missing someone? The other guy canceled last minute. Let's just enjoy ourselves with this group." Thus, the singles party began, but it turned out to be a singles party for Michael, by Michael, and all about Michael. We chatted about general topics and our backgrounds for a while, with Michael at the center. As he drank more, he started to loosen up. I mentioned that I graduated from the University of California with a degree in economics and that I'm doing well at Young Trading Company. Compared to me, Michael is just a high school graduate and isn't well off. It's surprising how different our lives turned out despite growing up in similar environments. "Hey Michael, you're drinking too much," I said. "Oh, I guess that was a sore spot for you. Sorry for bringing it up." "It's not that. It's just ruining the mood. Everyone's having fun, aren't they?" Michael was lost in his own world, bragging about his background. The women seemed completely put off. Should I do something about this? But I was here because Michael invited me for dinner, so I didn't feel the need to put in extra effort. I'd excused myself and headed to the restroom. As I washed my hands, I noticed one of the women looking at me. "Excuse me, sorry about Michael. I didn't know he had such bad drinking habits." "We're fine. More importantly, you're not really a high school graduate, are you?" "What?" I was taken aback. I hadn't shared my background or job with them, and as far as they knew, I was the high school graduate Michael had described. "How did you know? You don't recognize me, do you? This is our first meeting, right?" "Actually, I know you. I'm Jessica. I work at the reception desk at your law firm." "No way," I said, surprised. "I recognized you as soon as you arrived. I thought Michael knew too, but then he called you a high school graduate and super poor. I couldn't figure out why. Michael and I aren't close. I just came along for the ride today." "That makes sense. I was surprised to think you were friends with someone like Michael, but now I get it. I hadn't seen Michael in nearly 15 years and didn't graduate from a university in the U.S. I was raised by my grandparents in the U.S. from elementary school through high school, so Michael probably assumed I was poor without my parents around. We went to different high schools and didn't keep in touch, so he had no way of knowing my career path. Michael likely invited me to the singles party thinking I would make him look better. Did he really want to be admired that much? Was he dressing in expensive brands to impress others? I started to feel a bit sorry for him. Not wanting to leave the group hanging, Jessica and I returned to the party. Michael was still in high spirits. "Hey Jim, you're back. We're talking about going to a second place." "Really? Maybe we should call it a night," I suggested. The women were whispering among themselves, clearly unhappy. It would probably be best for everyone if they left. I continued to calm Michael down. In the end, I paid the bill and pushed Michael into a taxi. "Hey, high school graduate, what do you think you're doing?" "I'm paying. Let's go to the next place." "No, that's enough. Please take him home," I told the driver, sending Michael off. I stayed behind with the three women. Sorry for ruining the evening. Let's just call it a night. We were just talking and wondering if you'd like to have another drink with us somewhere quieter. What? I was surprised. When I told them you were the amazing lawyer who's the deputy director at our firm, they wanted to talk more. You didn't have to say that. It's fine. Otherwise, it would be too unfair for you. In the end, we moved to a quieter place and continued drinking, no longer treating it as a singles party. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Jim, and I work at a law firm. Come on, Jim, don't be so modest. You're a lawyer and the deputy director of your firm. I don't usually mention I'm a lawyer to new people because some don't see me for who I am once they know. Jim, you went to Oxford University, right? Michael doesn't know that and thinks you're a high school graduate. Yeah, my parents worked in the UK, so it just happened naturally. The two women with Jessica seemed much more interested now. It turns out they were Jessica's college classmates. Fortunately, they didn't change their attitude towards me after learning I was a lawyer. Jessica explained that the man who didn't show up was a mutual acquaintance who had organized a singles party. Why did Michael say those unfounded things about you being poor? Jessica asked. I didn't say that. He just misunderstood. I'm not super rich, so I didn't bother correcting him. How humble can you be? Why would he think that? Maybe because I lived with my grandparents when we were classmates. So he'd assumed you were poor. That's such a narrow-minded view. We weren't that close, so it's understandable. The women, led by Jessica, were completely put off by Michael. He probably invited me to make himself look better. I might be a high school graduate in terms of U.S. education and not exceptionally wealthy, but he never listened to my story and misunderstood my background. Despite graduating from a top university and working at a major corporation, Michael let it get to his head. No matter how much luxury you surround yourself with, it means nothing if your character doesn't match. I don't know how others perceive me, but I would never use others to elevate myself. I couldn't forgive him for implying my grandparents were poor. Although my parents worked overseas and frequently returned to check on me, it was my grandparents who raised me daily. They taught me not about becoming a lawyer, but about being a good person. I studied hard, inspired by both my outstanding parents and my humble grandparents. Naturally, I wanted to become a lawyer like my parents and a person of integrity like my grandparents. When I was working as a junior lawyer in London, I was approached by Director Anderson, the director of my current firm. Despite being young, Director Anderson was a prominent lawyer in the U.S., disillusioned with the old practices at his previous firm and determined to start a new one. Mr. Anderson, also an international lawyer, had connections with my parents. One day, he contacted me from the U.S. with an offer. Jim, would you like to help me establish a law firm in the U.S.? He asked. I knew of Director Anderson through my parents, but was surprised by the offer to co-found a new firm. Why me? I used to work in the legal field in London, so I've heard about your excellence. Your parents, the Johnsons, helped me a lot. I've heard you worked with them when I was still finding my way. Your parents helped me grow into a competent lawyer in London. They taught me to be a person first, then a lawyer. Knowing that, I have no doubt you must be exceptional too. I think you're overestimating me. I'm just an ordinary person. That's exactly why I want you, Mr. Anderson said. He persistently persuaded me, even though I initially planned to continue working in London. After much deliberation, I decided to accept his offer. Although I had wanted to stay in London, I knew I could always return. I was genuinely happy and felt a sense of purpose being invited by someone who saw potential in me. Additionally, having my grandparents, who watched over me until I graduated high school, back in the U.S. was a significant factor. Even though my grandparents weren't lawyers, I considered them my true parents. My only concern while in London was leaving them behind in the U.S. So I returned from London and helped establish the new firm. Mr. Anderson and I recruited and carefully selected young talented professionals without compromising on quality. After the firm opened, it became a bit of news. Director Anderson, already well-known, was often busy with media appearances. Due to my personality, I stayed out of the spotlight and focused on the background work. Thus, it wasn't surprising that Michael knew nothing about me. As I shared this with the women, time flew by. We should probably head home. It was great talking with you, Mr. Johnson. I had a lot of fun. Please just call me Jim. Let's skip the formal titles. But you are the deputy director. I'll make sure to tell Michael. There's no need. I doubt I'll see him again. No, I need to set the record straight. As we parted ways, Jessica spoke to me. Mr. Johnson, would you like to have dinner again sometime? I felt a connection with Jessica, having met her coincidentally despite working at the same firm, and accepted her invitation with a smile. It was clear she didn't ask me out because of my title. We exchanged contact information and went our separate ways that night. A few days later, I received a call from Michael. Jim, you're a lawyer? Yes, why didn't you tell me? I said I worked at a law firm. I thought you were a janitor or something. I always thought you were just a high school graduate raised by your grandparents. Well, I did live modestly. But it's all a lie. You're an Oxford graduate and a lawyer. I never lied. You just misunderstood. Unlike his confident demeanor when we reunited, Michael was now stumbling over his words. He must have learned the truth through Jessica. Whether I'm an Oxford graduate or a lawyer, I'm still just a classmate. This is why I usually don't talk much about my background. Some people see me differently once they know. Michael seemed completely intimidated by me now. Since then, he never invited me to another singles party. Around the same time Michael contacted me, Jessica also reached out. She wanted to discuss something over dinner, so we arranged to meet. I've been studying since last year. Studying? I want to become a lawyer. I started working at the firm to get closer to the legal field. I have a law degree but haven't passed the bar exam yet. I see. Why not work as a paralegal instead of a receptionist? Jessica explained that she was aiming to become a lawyer to repay her single mother, who raised her alone. She pursued her dream by attending a state university with a scholarship but hadn't passed the bar exam yet. Although she wanted to work as a paralegal, she needed to support her mother, so she worked as a receptionist during the day and at a restaurant at night. I can talk to the firm about having you work as a paralegal. That's not why I brought this up. I was wondering if I should keep trying or if it's time to give up. I support you to keep going. It's best to work as a paralegal and get first-hand experience. It's the quickest way. Are you sure? If given the chance, I'd love to try. Then let's arrange the transfer right away. I'll support you as much as I can. So Jessica transitioned from being a receptionist to working as a paralegal under a lawyer. I also arranged to meet with Jessica once a week for what turned into study sessions. Jessica's skills and confidence grew rapidly, and she looked much more radiant than when we first met at the singles party. Then came the bar exam. Jessica gave it her all and passed with flying colors. She was no longer a receptionist or a paralegal. Wearing her lawyer's badge, Jessica was filled with pride and confidence. Watching her, I realized something. I'd have fallen in love with Jessica, who had worked so hard and achieved her dream. As a newly minted lawyer, Jessica decided to gain experience by working at another law firm. She would be busier now, and we might not see each other as often. I decided to confess my feelings to her. Jessica, congratulations. You really worked hard. Thank you. It's all thanks to you and everyone else. Jessica, I've liked you for a long time. Will you stay by my side from now on? Oh my, I've probably liked you since even before that, when we met by chance at that singles party. I was so surprised. I'm honored that you feel this way. Yes, let's be together. And so Jessica and I started dating. Though our busy schedules meant we couldn't see each other often, we cherished the time we spent together. A year passed quickly, and Director Anderson had some news for me. Jim, I'm thinking of moving to London. What? I've been invited back by the firm I worked for in London. After careful consideration, I've decided to go. That's great. I wish you all the best. And I want you to take over this firm as the director. Do you think I'm up to the task? I've been watching you, and I know you can do it. You're the only one I trust with this. Thus, I became the director of the law firm. The following month, although I had always worked behind the scenes, I could no longer stay out of the spotlight. As the director, I found myself increasingly appearing on TV and in magazines, leading to even busier days. Despite my hectic schedule, I decided to take a vacation to spend time with Jessica. Though we kept in touch regularly, seeing her after a long time made me realize how much she had grown. You're the director now, It feels like you're drifting away. I'm busier, but I haven't changed. Hey, I have a proposal. A proposal? How about becoming a family? Wait, are you? It's a proposal, yes. Wow, I'm so surprised, but I'm so happy. Yes, I'd love to. Jessica's face lit up like a blooming flower when I placed the engagement ring on her left ring finger. She teared up a bit. You're making me laugh and cry at the same time. Of course, it's a flood of happiness. I then suggested that Jessica and her mother move in with me. Since her mother was her only family, it was the natural thing to do. After confirming it was okay with me, Jessica started crying tears of joy. We decided to set up our new home close to my grandparents' house. This way, I could also keep an eye on my beloved grandparents. Upon announcing our engagement, my parents immediately planned to return to the U.S. Next weekend, we are organizing a family dinner, including Jessica's mother. I'm at the peak of happiness, but I know I couldn't have achieved this alone. My grandparents, parents, Mr. Anderson, Jessica, the staff from both the London and the U.S. offices, all of them helped me get to where I am today. And yes, I should also thank Michael, who inadvertently brought Jessica and me together. I will keep these feelings in my heart and continue to work hard